The Cursed Wedding Hall. It was late at night. A young man, Adifir, was speeding his bike through the winding mountain roads. The night was pitch dark as it was a new moon. The only source of light was his bike's headlamp, illuminating the deserted path ahead. Suddenly, heavy rain began to pour. "Oh no, where should I go now?" he thought. A little ahead, he spotted an old heritage guest house. It appeared abandoned, but with no other shelter in sight, Adifir decided to stop there. He left his bike's headlight on for some light, but within a minute, it flickered and turned off on its own, plunging everything into complete darkness. Just then, from inside the guest house, a mysterious chant began to echo. Om Mangalam Shivaya, Mangalam Mahadevaya. Adifir cautiously stepped toward the sound, but the darkness was impenetrable. Suddenly, lightning flashed across the sky, and in that brief moment, he saw something terrifying. The entire hall was filled with lifeless bodies. In the center sat a newlywed couple. Frozen in fear, Adifir turned and ran for his life. He tried to start his bike, but the headlight refused to turn on. Barely a few steps into the dark road, he collided head-on with a speeding truck, and died instantly. 1 month later, Riya and Karen were getting married. They had planned a grand destination wedding in Uti. Their close friends, Neeraj and Saurabh, accompanied them. The journey through the hills was breathtaking yet eerie. The roads twisted through dense forests, and the new moon night only added to the unsettling atmosphere. Finally, they arrived at the heritage guest house that Karen had booked for the wedding. The guest house was beautifully decorated from the outside, but strangely, there was not a single person in sight. "What's going on? Where is everyone?" Neeraj wondered aloud. "No, this is the right place. Look at the decorations, exactly how we planned," Karen reassured. Everyone entered the hall and settled in. Later, Karen, Neeraj, and Saurabh set out to find a priest. They spoke to several priests, but all of them refused to conduct the wedding. "Why are they all refusing?" Saurabh asked, puzzled. Finally, they found an old priest who seemed slightly unhinged. But with no other option, they convinced him to come along. Midnight, the garland ceremony begins. The priest declared that the auspicious time for the Jaimala, garland exchange, was exactly midnight. As Karen lifted the garland to place it around Riya's neck, the fresh flowers suddenly withered into dry, lifeless petals. A wave of terror washed over the guests. A new garland was brought in, but as soon as it neared Riya's neck, it also shriveled. One by one, all the flowers in the hall began wilting, as if death itself had touched them. Everyone shuddered with fear. The priest then announced that the Faras, sacred wedding rounds, would take place at 3 a.m. Just as he finished speaking, the hall's massive doors slammed shut on their own. At that moment, the giant chandelier in the center crashed down, barely missing Neeraj. 3 a.m., the wedding rituals take a dark turn. The eerie silence was suffocating. Despite their growing fear, the rituals continued. The priest began chanting the wedding mantras, but before the first round could begin, he let out a horrific scream and collapsed to the ground. He convulsed violently, as if something invisible had seized him. "This place is cursed. A great danger lurks here. I must leave," the priest gasped, struggling to his feet before fleeing the hall. Now panic had taken hold of everyone. But Riya's father, Anirudh, refused to believe in superstitions. "We don't need a priest. I will conduct the wedding myself." As soon as he started the rituals, the sacred fire in the Havenkund, holy fire pit, began flickering and extinguishing itself repeatedly. One by one, 6 Faras were completed. Just as the 7th was about to begin, an old man appeared at the entrance. His eyes burned red as he screamed, "Stop! This place is cursed. If you continue, everyone will die." Annoyed, Anirudh retorted, "Are you blind? This is a grand wedding venue, not some haunted ruins. The old man laughed bitterly. Open your eyes and see for yourself. As soon as he spoke, the beautiful guest house instantly transformed into a decayed ruin. The walls were crumbling, cobwebs hung everywhere, and the floor was littered with dirt and broken furniture. Fear gripped the guests as darkness enveloped them. They hurried to switch on their phone flashlights, but not a single device worked. What's happening? We need to get out of here, now. Terrified, everyone rushed toward the exit, but the doors had locked themselves shut. Their hearts pounded in their chests as they banged on the doors in desperation. Just then, the old man spoke again. In 1950, a couple named Arjun and Vandana secretly married here. Vandana's father was a powerful tantric, occultist, and he arrived to stop the wedding. But it was too late, they were already husband and wife. Enraged, he placed a terrible curse upon this place: no wedding shall ever be completed here. And if one is attempted, destruction will follow. Riya turned pale. She slowly turned to her mother, Sandhya, whose face was frozen in shock. Mom, is this true? Sandhya nodded weakly. Arjun and Vandana were my parents. This curse has drawn us here. Suddenly, lightning flashed across the hall. The guests screamed in horror, lifeless bodies now covered the entire floor. Where did these corpses come from? Karen whispered in terror. The sacred fire roared wildly, as if unseen hands were feeding it ghee. Soon, the flames spread, engulfing the entire guest house. Before Riya and Karen's eyes, their family and friends burned alive, their screams filling the night air. But strangely, the flames did not touch them. Their wedding was not just cursed, it had become the doom of their entire lineage.